Good evening. Thank you for joining us. First on News 2 at 6 o'clock, a candlelight vigil is happening right now at Southern University for Caleb Wilson.
Wilson died last week after what investigators believe was a hazing ritual. This is a live look at that gathering on the lawn outside the Isaac Greggs Band Hall. Wilson was a junior and a trumpet player with the Human Jukebox. The 20-year-old was majoring in mechanical engineering. The reported lies told by those with Wilson the night he died crumbled under scrutiny, pointing investigators to hazing. Bess Casserly with more on the charges being prepared by the district attorney.
Well, Michael, though the cause of death is still undetermined, Hillar Moore says it's irrelevant to the fact that hazing did occur that night, which is now a felony in Louisiana since the death of another college student just a few years ago.
Obviously, there was some things that occurred that would lead us to believe that at least part of the night's ongoings constituted hazing. And then, unfortunately, someone dies.
District Attorney Hillar Moore says, though there are still a lot of unanswered questions in the death of Southern University student Caleb Wilson, one thing is for sure.
Surely looking at charges of hazing, a potential hazing death, possibly negligent homicide, manslaughter, obstruction of justice. All of those charges right now, depending on what the facts will be, could be potential charges.
The homicide-related charges will largely depend on the results of the full autopsy, which could take up to 2 months, and the remaining interviews police need to conduct. Wilson's death is being investigated as hazing-related since it was revealed he collapsed after being punched in the chest during an unsanctioned fraternity event. These days, hazing is considered a felony. Moore says this will be the first time to use the Max Groover Act to prosecute since it was made law. Groover was an LSU student who died after a night of hazing-related drinking in 2017.
But we never did have a particular hazing provision associated with a death. So you had to use the other crimes such as negligent homicide or manslaughter. So now with the Max Groover Act, there is the component of a death involved with hazing, and it carries up to a 5-year penalty.
Moore says, though, there are several big differences between what happened to Groover and what it looks like happened to Wilson. In Groover's case, it was determined a fraternity member deliberately targeted him during the hazing event.
At this point, I do not get the indication that there was a targeted hazing of a particular person for a particular reason.
Another important detail, whether anyone tried to help Wilson after he collapsed. Moore says his friends did bring him to Baton Rouge General, but it's not yet known if anything else was done to try and save his life. And who else could be found culpable. Tuesday, the WBRZ investigative unit showed you the warehouse where the alleged hazing actually occurred. Now we've confirmed the exact business is owned by Todd Smith, the father of one of the men involved in the fraternity. Could that person be facing charges at all?
It would all really depend on what knowledge the person would have or not. At this point, I do not believe that he's a suspect at this point. But again, there's many more interviews that have to be conducted.
We went to Smith's home and business today to talk to him. He did not come to the door. The building where the event occurred shares space with another business, which is owned by Metro Councilman Cleve Dunn. I spoke to him this afternoon. He told me he didn't know about it until today, but after speaking to Smith, learned detectives came by earlier this week to get surveillance video. For the investigative unit, Bess Casserly, WBRZ News 2.